everyone. I'm so excited to have you here for the fifth and final day of our 5-day summit. This is the She Has Infinite Potential panel, and we have been going at this for 4 days, and we are not stopping. Today is going to be amazing. I have Ann and Nancy here with me today, and we're going to be talking about landing and thriving in your dream job. So drop in the chat where you're located so we can welcome you to our fifth and final day of the SHIP Summit. I am your captain, Malia, and this week has been our maiden voyage, and I'm so glad that you came along this ride with us today. Nancy and Ann, please introduce yourselves so we know what brilliance we sit in front of.
Go, Ann.
Hi, thanks, Nancy. Hi, everyone. I'm Ann Ryan. I am a career coach, and I work in 2 ways primarily. I work with colleges to help students find their first internship or their first full-time job. And I also work with professionals who are making a really big career transition. So I help people with everything from personal branding to writing resumes to their LinkedIn profiles to job search strategy and to interview prep. I'm just like so excited to be here. And I just want to shout out to Nancy, because Nancy and I have had multiple preparation meetings that have been so much fun for today. And we have a great agenda planned.
Yes, it's going to be a great one. I'm Nancy Berger. I'm a communication strategist and an executive coach. And what I really do is I help people feel better in their skin, whether it's in workplace dynamics, in their own leadership dynamics, or just in any kind of struggle that they're dealing with. I kind of work on language and words and how we can shift our inner dialogue as well as how we show up in the world. So I'm really excited to talk about this today.
I'm so excited. And this is such a timely conversation because with all the layoffs and all of the uncertainty in the job market, this is a perfect time for all of us to just hone our skills and really make sure that we're in position to tap into our infinite potential. So I'm so excited for this conversation, Ann and Nancy. Let's welcome some of our guests. We see some Atlanta, some New York, Florida. Yay, I'm in Florida, Orlando. Welcome. So first, for those of you who don't know me, my name is Malia Lim. I'm the founder of Savvy Leader. We provide professional development training to women in traditionally male or dominant industries. And so I'm also your captain for today. And I'm so excited for this conversation. So let's go ahead and kick it off. Our first question is, when it comes to landing and thriving in your dream job, what are we doing wrong right now? What's not working for us? Go ahead, Nancy.
Yeah. So what I want to just quickly make a note of is this past 4 days, this summit has kind of struck this beautifully organic balance of helping our audience understand and raise awareness around the inner work that has to be done for all of these challenges and the outer work that has to be done. And we haven't really even focused on that purposely, but as it's turned out, all the speakers have kind of balanced comments that way. So today is no different. So when we talk about what are you doing and what is not working when you're trying to find your dream job, I want to talk about limiting beliefs and how we talk to ourselves about ourselves. That can be a real problem and can get in your way. So if you notice that you're not too kind to yourself, that the things that you think about yourself, you wouldn't even say to strangers or people that you're angry with, it's really something that you want to pay attention to and focus on, because that can help you move forward and build a path forward.
Wow, your limiting beliefs. I know that I've suffered from them. Drop a me in the chat if you've ever just felt that limit and just held yourself back, right? We're going to start breaking that down today. Thank you so much for that, Nancy. And what are we doing right now that's not working for us?
Yeah, so we have actually a list of 3 things that we want to talk about. And the first one is limiting beliefs, which is how you talk to yourself about yourself. And the second one is how you talk about yourself to others and how to feel comfortable doing that. And then the third one is kind of a combination where we're going to talk a little bit about how you can commit to your own personal and professional growth. So that's going to be what we're going to discuss today.
I hope you guys have your notebooks because this is good. Like Ann and Nancy are so organized, so like succinct, to the point. They're going to come with some gems. I love it. So
yeah, thanks to Ann, we're organized. So I completely just jumped over the whole for today. So Anne now is going to talk about the second thing that gets in our way that's not working. Go ahead, Anne. You're going to talk about that.
Yeah. So let us know how do we start to implement these three things? How do we start to move the needle forward in these categories, Anne?
Yeah, actually, according to my little agenda, if we're in the second question are we going to talk about how do we move the needle and make progress?
Yeah,
this week.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. Well, actually, Nancy, you've got the first one, which is how to navigate limiting belief patterns.
Okay. So when you think about yourself and you talk to yourself about yourself, I want to make one thing clear to everybody, that these thoughts you can choose. You can choose differently. Okay. We get really automatic in the inner dialogue that we have, and it's based on early imprinting from when we're kids, early socialization, and all the experiences that we have as young people, young geniuses, I like to say. So you can change those thoughts. It's a matter of practicing. So the first thing you can do to move the needle is notice your thoughts and choose thoughts that empower you and help you tap into your capability and possibility instead of what you can't do or you think you can't do.
Wow. I just did something really resonated with me. She said, choose differently. If you want something to be different in your life, you have the power to choose differently. And I love that, Nancy, that we have the control over our inner voice and we can start to change those limiting beliefs. Wow, that is so powerful. Anne, what do you have to add about the second point?
Yeah, sure. So I think what we came up with really flows together, because the first thing is, how do you talk about yourself to yourself? But something that I talk about with a lot of my clients is, how do you talk about yourself to others and how do you feel comfortable doing that? And a lot of my clients have said to me, Anne, I don't really feel comfortable bragging on my resume or my LinkedIn profile. And honestly, that is the right time for you to be doing that, right? You should be bragging. But I have sort of like a mindset shift that I'd like to propose that you take so you can get a little more comfortable talking about yourself to other people. And here's the story. Companies put out job recs because they have a problem that they need to be solved. And applicants write resumes and LinkedIn profiles to say to that company, I am the right person to solve your problem. Right? So you can't have a meet cute between a company and an applicant if both of you are not clear about what you're looking for and what you can do. Right? So you, as an applicant, you're not actually bragging about yourself when you're telling somebody what you're capable of. You're just clearly communicating that to somebody else, because I won't know if you won't tell me, right? Like, you might not know, what I want to do unless I actually tell you what I need. And maybe you know someone in your network who could help me out. Right. So the mind shift, if I want to think, is like, you're not actually bragging. You just have to be really open and honest and transparent about everything that you bring to the table. Right. That's not bragging. That's just,
you're answering a question.
Communicating.
Right. Yeah. You're answering the question. And this this concept of bragging is, again, that inner dialogue. It's like,
yes,
we're being unkind to ourselves. I'm sharing information that is relevant to this process. How is that bragging?
I think it's also part of our responsibility as applicants to make it very clear all of the ways that we can contribute, right? Like, it's not bragging, it's just stating facts. I can do these things. I've done these things. I like to do these things. I want to come do these things for you. Like this, it's not I am standing on the corner and just shouting my brilliance. It's saying that, hey, you have something that I think would be a perfect fit for me, my experience, my personality, and where I want to go. Let me help you see that. Let me help make the decision easy for you, because that's part of my job, is to make things easier for you. That's how this is a win-win. And I think when we take a step back and look at what men are doing on their resumes, probably embellishing a little bit, if I'm honest, right? Like we have to come full force with everything that we have to offer and not shy away from it. That is how we can command higher salaries. That's how we command respect going into the door. Right. So we want to be able to show them that we're going to hit the ground running and contribute right away. Oh, my goodness. I'm sorry. This is something that I've seen happen a lot of times, and it just infuriates me. Ladies, we are brilliant. Stop hiding it. Okay. All right. That's enough. I'm going to get off.
What you're talking about is language. It's a language we choose. It all starts with the words that are in our head, So when you start telling yourself, I am sharing my value proposition, that's all. it changes you neurologically. It changes your brain. It changes your experience in your body. So just choose different words, ladies.
Yes.
Choose
And
words
don't
that
hide
serve
it.
you.
Yeah.
Don't
And
hide it.
also, I do want to make a quick point. You need to come in strong as a candidate right off the bat, like you said earlier, Amelia, and that's going to set you up to be in a stronger negotiating position when it's time to discuss salary and benefits and things like that. So do not shortchange yourself at the front end. Come in strong, demonstrate that you're strong during the interview process, and then, make the company want you so that you have leverage at that end negotiation point. That concept is really important.
Some of my favorite words: leverage, negotiation. I love it. So I think that leads us to our next question.
Can we talk about how to commit to your own personal and professional beliefs real quick?
Yes.
Yeah. So I'm glad Anne is so organized.
Does not mean
we are.
anything if you don't commit. So tell us, Anne, how do we commit? How do we make this a reality?
Well, the first thing is accepting that you can change it, right? It sounds simple, and it can be. It's not easy. Accept that you can change your thoughts. You can build a practice. Practice as a verb, do it all the time. Practice as a noun, build a practice in your daily life. It becomes a mindset, and then you do it. You build neural pathways, they get stronger, and you're more apt to do the same thing next time. So accept that you can change your thoughts and commit to that.
Wow.
Yeah. I feel like that's always that phrase that I keep telling myself too, because I struggle with this as well, where it's like, if you talk to your friend the way that you talk to yourself in your head, would that person be friends with you? Do you know, like, are you your own best friend? Like, what are you telling yourself internally? And a lot of times when I find myself saying something, I think, would I say this to a friend and would they walk away from me? And if the answer is yes, then I should not be saying it to myself.
Exactly right.
Yeah.
We have to be our own best friend. We have to be the kindest to ourselves, because the world, it will surely not prioritize that. And so it starts here and then it's projected outwards. Oh my gosh.
Now wait, Anne you said something brilliant the other day about a practice that you encourage your clients to build.
Oh yeah. So how to commit to your own professional growth. And I do this exercise sometimes with clients when they say, well, here's the job I want. And I go, all right, well, let's take a hard look at the requirements and the responsibilities of the kind of job that you want and what you bring to the table right now. And then we find, if there's any, we find the gaps. I like to call that the delta. And then my question to my clients is like, how do we fill that gap? How do we make you dangerous, right? As quickly as possible, right? So it may not be like going back to school to getting a degree. Maybe it might be reading a book, or like doing a couple of exercises online, or taking an online course, or watching some YouTube videos. So what I always recommend for folks, if you have an area in which you want to grow professionally, figure out how you can get those skills as quickly as possible. So becoming dangerous in it. And you only really have to work on that 10 minutes a day. So I say an hour a week. And I think everyone can make 10 to 15 minutes a day to make progress. And like, if you do this for a couple of weeks, you'll be so far ahead of where you were, and it won't take that much time, and it won't seem like that much effort.
It doesn't take a lot of time, right? If I could offer a strategy that sometimes I share with clients too, to shift your sort of neurological process, it's called a word bath exercise. And what I have people do is write down 10 words that the minimal, the limiting descriptors of yourself. It may be, invisible, small, incapable, whatever it is. And then next to each word, write the opposite times 100, bold, confident, fearless, whatever it is. And that second column, have it accessible on your device, have it printed out next to your laptop. And I have people recite those words to themselves 3 times a day for a week to 2 weeks. Just read the word, feel the word, internalize the word, experience how that feels in your body. And it makes shifts in your brain. It really does change your nervous system. And it's a beautiful exercise and very easy to do. Takes no time at all. It's just that practice, right? I'm visible. I'm big. I'm bold. And when you do this to yourself, it's kindness and it's empowering.
Mm-hmm. Wow. I love that. I love that you call it a word bath, because you're really trying to immerse yourself.
I love that. Yeah.
In like a whole new version of yourself. And so you're just covering yourself head to toe each day so that you can step into that. I love that you call it a bath, because really, in order to rewire your brain, it takes a practice. It takes a regular habit building practice. And so this is going to help you rewire and reframe your perspectives. And so it really does take immersing yourself, even if it is for 10 minutes a day, right? And that is going to change the way that you see yourself, the way that you see your ability to communicate who you are to the world. Wow, this is just phenomenal. So I know this is not easy. And I know this is not easy because I struggled with having a practice and speaking life into myself early in my career. And it really, really hurt me. It held me back in my career. It held me back in my health, in my relationships. And I struggled to flip the coin and move to the other side where I can progress. So what are some hurdles that we're going to face as we start to implement these practices and start to speak life into ourselves and stand confidently and go after our dream jobs and go after closing those deltas with confidence? What kind of hurdles are we going to face, and how can we overcome them?
I think, if I may, that one of the biggest hurdles we face is believing our thoughts. We do it. We believe our thoughts. Now, this may come as a surprise to some people, maybe not. Thoughts they don't happen by themselves. They are choices that you make. And of course you don't sit down and say, I'm going to right now choose to think this. No, it's not that kind of a conscious effort. It's a trigger based on your past life experience, right? It's a trigger based on what comes up in your nervous system when you're in certain situations. And you will trigger a thought pattern, a neural pathway that you're used to triggering, right? In that way, it's a thought. Feelings are not choices. Feelings just happen. So believing our thoughts, right, then puts us in a situation where we may then behave based on that. And your thought may be on a completely fictional narrative. It may be based on fiction. So the ability to metacognate, the ability to notice our thoughts, not necessarily believe them, say, is that serving me? Can I choose a different one? So again, I don't mean to sound simplistic, but don't believe your thoughts. Question them, notice them. If it's making you feel icky, then maybe I'm doing that thing I do every time I'm faced with a situation. Maybe I can choose a different path. And to your point, Malia, and to Anne's point through the whole day, our whole session, this takes work. It takes practice. It takes resolve and consistency. But when you do it, it gets easier and easier. And those neural pathways get stronger. And look what happens. You start feeling better in your skin.
Yes. And I'd like to add, Kristen mentioned yesterday, stay curious. So we can get so judgmental about ourselves and our thoughts and why was I thinking that? Oh man, like, no, let's just start with a curious open-mindedness, explore your thoughts and really start to digest what's working for you and what's not. And I love that you mentioned that we don't have to believe our thoughts. Like, we can challenge them. We can be curious. Yep. Why do I think this? Why do I feel this way? And I hope that gives somebody some permission to stop judging yourself and to just rewire your brain so that you can move forward. I love that. And what are some hurdles that we're going to face as we use this new mindset to go after our dream jobs? How can we overcome those hurdles that we're going to be facing?
Yeah, so I think the biggest hurdle that people usually face when they're trying to get comfortable talking about themselves to other people is just again, like Nancy said, you don't have the right words. So what I usually recommend is that when I talk to clients, I say, okay, pretend that we're at a networking event or a cocktail party, and I ask you what you do. All I want you to do is just answer me out loud. And usually the first answer is long. It's a little, do you know what I mean? Like, it's kind of like, I call it like just words are tumbling out of your mouth. But once they get that one version out, then we start to refine it. And then I start to ask questions about things that I think are interesting. So I think to get comfortable talking about yourself to others, you actually have to do it out loud. And that could be recording yourself on a Zoom, working with a coach and just talking to them about what you do. Do you know what I mean? And your accomplishments. Or it could just be grabbing a friend and interviewing each other and trying and just saying, like, if I was asked this question, what would my answer be? And I actually thought the other day I might write a blog post entitled, "Do you want a better resume? Go to more cocktail parties." Because then you're kind of forced to talk about yourself to other people, do you know, like, and go to places where you have to do that. And what I also think is something that when you're with people and you're each explaining what you do, really listen to what they're saying and see if you like how they're presenting themselves, or if like their answer is really long and drawn out and doesn't make any sense, right? And like pick up and take pieces that you like, and don't do the things that really bug you. Because I know I've been in situations when I've asked somebody, what do they do? And 5 minutes later, I'm still standing there nodding my head, just thinking like, I can't wait to get out of here. Do you know, like you don't want to do that, right? You want to engage people.
And you can miss opportunities that way. Like
You
the
can.
elevator pitch concept is called the elevator pitch for a reason. It is, you have those moments between floor 11 and 3 to get somebody's attention if they ask you what you do. And if you don't have that honed and fine-tuned, like what I do is this in one sentence, you can't say it in a sentence, you don't know what you do. So sometimes you have to just kind of sit down and say, what problem do I want to solve? Who do I want to solve it for? How do I want to solve it? And just really get in the weeds and boil it down, get it to a sentence. It's really fun when you finally do it, because then you're always ready, no matter where you are, cocktail party, Starbucks, you know, bowling alley, elevator. This is what I do. And people are always kind of impressed when you can encapsulate it like that.
And making it easy for someone to understand what you do is hard.
Right.
Do you know, like, and you should make it easy for someone to understand what you do, right? If you can't explain it to someone who's 5 years old, it's not a good explanation. Right? Make the other person feel really smart. Use very clear language, no big words. Do you know what I mean? Like no really technical terms, but even coming up with that can be a really hard practice to do, right? Like make it easy for someone else, and you're going to have to put in a little bit of effort to do that, but it is 100% worth it, and people will appreciate it.
Yeah.
All the time.
Wow. So if your stomach just got into knots thinking about how am I going to explain what I do in one sentence, trust Ann and Nancy. It's going to be fun on the other side. It's okay. We're not afraid of work here. We're going to do the hard work so that we can make it easy for other people to understand what we do, and we can stand confidently in that. One thing, Ann, that you mentioned is that we need to be practicing, right? The both of you, Nancy and Nancy.
I think we just got our names.
You guys are talking about a practice, right? And refining that over time. And so I want to encourage you. A lot of times, women, we have a fear of failure, right? Because in a man's world, we have to be so much more excellent and so much more perfect from them just to be able to compete. But I want to give you the permission. It's okay if you don't do it right. It's okay if you're learning, right? This is part of the process. Learning is a skill. Getting over failure is a skill. Getting over fear is a skill that you can take to climb the corporate ladder, to go after your dreams. And so the sooner you're able to hone those skills and really adopt a practice and refine yourself, you will be in position to fulfill your infinite potential. And that is what we most desire for you listening today. This has been an amazing conversation. So I have one question that I did not prep you guys for.
Ooh.
So are you ready? If I wake up in the morning, what are 2 things I can do to make sure that my practice is sustainable?
You want me to start, Ann?
Yeah, go for it.
I will share what I do every day that makes this practice of shifting your thought patterns to those that serve you. When I get up in the morning, I say, what do I get to learn today? Now, some people write gratitude journals. Some people do. Everybody has their own practices, and I think they're all awesome. For me, that shifts me into leaning into to any failure of the day. I try to fail all day, every day, because when I fail, I learn. So what do I get to learn today? And at the end of the day, I circle back. What did I get to learn? What did I get to do today that put me on a courageous path forward for myself? It's a small thing, but it shifts my brain. And when some days are crap, which some days are, at the end of the day, I have a long list. But it's like, oh, I got to learn that didn't work on my computer. And I got to learn that when you do that, you lose 50 emails. And I got to learn that you know, when I talk like that to one of my kids, they don't like it, like whatever it is, but I get to do it. And it shifts everything for me.
Wow. And I like that you say, I get. Like it's a blessing. It's an opportunity. This is a wonderful life to live, and rather than I have to. Right. So many of us, and that's something that I found a switch that's helped me. I have to go do this. It feels so burdensome. But when I get
to do it.
I get to do laundry. Thank goodness I have clothes.
Oof, get to do it.
And tell us what is something we can do in the morning to start our practice off on the right foot.
I'm actually so glad you asked this question, because I was having a discussion with two friends yesterday, and I already know I knew my answer immediately when you asked. So this is something that I do. So I got really into weightlifting about a year ago, and I realized that why I like it so much is because I fail really early in the day. And so when I go weightlift, obviously you have to do it safely, but the purpose of lifting weights is to reach failure. Like if the instructor is telling me to do 12 reps, I should use a weight where I can really only get 8. And then I use that weight until I can get to 12. And then once I can get to 12, then I pick up a heavier weight and I go to 8 again. And so I really like that, because it almost like sets my brain up that failing is okay. And failing is how my muscles are going to grow. So that's what really helps me. So every weekday I didn't go today because we had this, but every other weekday I'm at the gym working out, purposely getting myself safely to failure. And that just kind of tricks my mind to be like, this is okay. Everything is good. And I will keep trying to fail during the day. And I know we all met through Innovation Women, and Innovation Women, we have these crazy, awesome Friday morning meetings. And one of the things that we do in the meetings is everyone has to do a 15-second introduction. And I don't know if anyone who's been watching has noticed, but I change mine up every single time. And I've gone for like really, really like wacky stuff. Like one time I did an infomercial style. One time I talked about the song I was listening to, and I'm just sort of testing it out. And it's okay if I fail, because some of them people laugh and some of them are like, do you know, but that's fine. It's a safe space. And I'm trying to find what works for me.
You're learning.
So yeah,
that's great. That's great. I mean, I just want to mention, because I know we're almost out of time, but somebody asked, a LinkedIn user said, you know, you can say, I work with X to help them do Y. And that's one really great template for your elevator pitch, and to kind of get in your head about how you would introduce yourself. Another school of thought is to say, my clients do this. My clients learn how to whatever. So you take that I out of it, which can be really appealing to some listeners. So I love how people are offering these suggestions, and these are great ways to get started.
Yes, I love it. Value even in the chat. I love it. This summit is just phenomenal. I want to encourage you guys to really push yourself, really expand yourself. You know, we're pushing weights literally out here so that you can tap into your infinite potential. I don't want you to be afraid of failure. I want you to be able to speak those positive things to yourself, just immerse yourself in like a caterpillar coming out of a cocoon, right? We want to see you flourish. And so I hope that this summit has given you some actionable steps that you can implement right away to start moving into your infinite potential. Thank you so much for joining us on our 5-day summit. This has been absolutely phenomenal. And Nancy, what a conversation today. So if you enjoyed today, please fill out our survey. The link is down below in the chat. And if you missed any of the previous days, make sure to fill out the survey so we can send you a replay of the entire summit. Oh man, this has been so phenomenal. I feel like I'm walking away from the summit a better person. What about you?
Yeah, I feel like I learned so much from you all, this week. Like it's just been a rich experience in every way, right, Anne? Hasn't it been awesome?
Ditto. Yes, I have taken copious notes in every single event. It's been amazing. And I think I think we could do, like, we all squeeze so much information into half an hour.
Right.
And every
Just the
time that we
beginning.
end, we always are like, oh my gosh, we could do like hour-long, day-long workshops on a lot of these topics. And
Yeah.
it's been
So
such a wonderful idea generation
yes.
space
So
too.
make sure you fill out your survey so that you will know when we start doing full workshops about. And so if you liked any of these topics, make sure you fill out that survey, because you might see some full workshops and some full deep dives on some of the topics we've talked about this week. Oh man, this was fantastic. Thank you all so much for joining us on the ship. I am your captain, Malia, and until next time, ship it.
Bye, everybody.